Hi everyone, it's John from What Up and welcome back to another video. Today we're talking Wheel of Time Season 2 and Season 3 news coming out of JordanCon. Now if you're unaware what JordanCon is, it's a celebration of all things Wheel of Time and Robert Jordan that runs every single year. Now, I unfortunately haven't been able to make it yet. However, I know a lot of people who have, and I live vicariously through each and every one of them every single year, and it looks to be an absolutely fantastic time. Now, it being the 15th anniversary of JordanCon, well, the Sony and Amazon production team for Wheel of Time decided they were going to send a little tidbit along. Now, this little tidbit turned into a full-blown 4-course meal because, let's face it, we have 4 brand new cast members and their characters. That's pretty important because the Wheel of Time has announced cast members in the last couple of years, but not their characters. So we still have cast members announced well over a year and a half ago that we don't know who they're playing in the show just yet. So that's a huge deal. They also did a Q&A with cast members and production team members, including the showrunner Rafe where they took questions from the Wheel of Time fandom. Now, these were pre-screened questions, and they took them and they answered them over Zoom, and then they put them together in kind of like a video, and they showed it at JordanCon. So what we're going to talk about today here in this video is we're going to go through the 4 cast members, we're going to go through the characters and how they're going to fit into Season 2. Then we're going to talk about the Q&A. I'll go through each and every question, give you the question and the answers, what they said, and maybe, just maybe, some of these cast members and production team members said some things that perhaps will give us clues to Season 2 and Season 3. And when I say maybe, they absolutely did. They let slip a few things that they probably shouldn't have. And we're going to talk about all of that in today's video. So buckle in. It's going to be a long one. We're back to the days of yore. So if you've been with the channel since the beginning, you remember that some of my news videos were in excess of an hour. I don't know if this will be that long, but it's going to be up there. This is going to be one of the longer videos I've done in quite some time. So if you have to watch it in shifts, if you have to go clean the house while you're watching this, please go do that. But you're not going to want to miss this because there's a whole lot of really important stuff. Now, if you're new to the channel and you don't know what we do here, well, I think at this point you probably should have already guessed. We talk about the Wheel of Time and the Wheel of Time show. We talk about everything from the mundane to the fantastical, from the unimportant and rumors to the official and important castings, set videos, set pictures. There's nothing too inconsequential to cover when it comes to the Wheel of Time show because I'm a huge Wheel of Time fan, and this is what I like to do. I think a lot of you watching the channel are that way as well. So, if you like that sort of thing, subscribe to the channel. I am trying to hit 20,000 subscribers prior to Season 2 being released, and I honestly think that's going to be a little bit sooner than any of us really believe. And if you like the video, please like it. Now, I've been saying this my last couple of videos to like the videos. I mean, that's just something that most people would do on YouTube if they like a video, but a lot of people tend to forget. So if you do like what I'm doing here, to like the video, it increases the reach of my videos exponentially. And in fact, some of my last videos have more views or just as many views as my videos as when Season 1 was live, when the channel was at its height. So if you do like what I'm doing here, share it with your friends and family. Let's see if I can hit that 20,000 prior to Season 2. All right, all of that being said, we're now going to get into the video, but I have to give a slight spoiler warning because we're talking Season 2, we're talking characters, and we're talking Q&A, and there's all kinds of really interesting stuff here, including our first real close look at the Aiel in costume, up close and personal. This is all very exciting, but I have to give spoiler warnings. So, spoiler warning. In this video, we're talking about elements of Season 1, Season 2, and quite possibly Season 3 of Sony and Amazon's Wheel of Time show. So if you've not seen Season 1 on Prime Video, that's episodes 1 through 8, or you have not read the first 3 books, that's The Eye of the World, The Great Hunt, and The Dragon Reborn of Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series, be forewarned, I may ruin plot points and character arcs from both of those mediums. All right, that being said, let's get on to the video. All right, so we're going to start off by talking about the 4 cast members and the characters they're playing that was announced at JordanCon. But before we get into that, I will mention that down below in the description box is a link to the official video put out by JordanCon that was sent to them by Prime Video. So this is where the announcement was made. Rafe Judkins does a lot of talking. Sarah Nakamura, the book consultant for the show, also talks a fair bit. The Q&A is there. It's about 26 minutes long or so. It's a really good watch because you get to see the joy and the absolute excitement that some of these people have on camera when they talk about their characters in the show. Now, you gotta understand that in some cases, these people have known for years, or they've been playing these characters for years, 2 years plus in some cases, and they couldn't talk to the fandom, they couldn't let anyone know, they had to keep it a secret, and they're now just able to talk about this stuff, and watching them be excited and happy on screen as they're talking about their characters and the Wheel of Time and the other people they're on set with is an absolute joy. So I highly recommend you go over and watch that video when you're done. And of course, subscribe to the JordanCon channel because who wouldn't want to see all the stuff from JordanCon? Now, first person we're going to talk about is Jay Duffy. Now, Jay Duffy was born in 1996. He's been acting since around 2011. He's probably best known for Hollyoaks and Playground. Now, he's Irish, and he grew up in sort of an acting-type family. His father was a regular in Coronation Street, and he was on set a lot with his dad when he was younger. Now, Jay was one of those characters that or one of those actors rather, that was leaked, that we knew was part of the show quite some time ago. We didn't know which character he was going to play. We talked about him here on the channel a couple of times. There's a few articles up in Want series. We didn't know he was playing, of course, I said he was playing Gowan, or I thought he'd be playing Gowan, because I really want to know who's playing that particular character, because any of you new to the channel and don't know this, Gowan's my absolute favorite character, but my second choice for him was Dain Bornhald, because I thought he would make an absolutely fantastic White Cloak, and lo and behold, he is playing Dain in the second season and beyond. Now, this is a pretty big deal, because although Jay Duffy's been acting since 2011, he hasn't done any real huge major serialized productions where he's had a major reoccurring role other than Hollyoaks. And this one, season 2 and beyond of Wheel of Time, is going to be a big deal for him, because Dain Bornhald isn't a one and done. He is a featured character for a very long time in the series. Now, if you don't know who Dain Bornhald is, he's the son of Joffrey Bornhald. We've seen him in season 1. And he is described as being a little bit overzealous. Now, his rank is somewhat in question in the White Cloaks, because at some points in the series, he has 1 knot of rank. At other points, he has 2, and 3 knots as a Lord Captain Commander. So he never makes it that far, but he is a fairly influential person within the Children. Now, after his father dies, his zealotry kind of kicks into overdrive, and he blames Perrin for pretty much everything, and he's featured very heavily in the Battle for the Two Rivers and Perrin storylines for quite some time in the book series. Really, really very neat, and I think Jay's going to absolutely knock it out of the park when it comes to Dain Bornhald. I think he make an absolutely fantastic White Cloak, because as happy as he looks in the pictures and the videos we've seen, I think he could do the 1,000-yard stare quite well. All right, the next actress we're going to talk about is Rima Tienda. Now, she was leaked a very long time ago, so we've known she's been part of the show for a long, long time. However, just a few short weeks ago, her actual role was leaked as well. So her CV was updated, and we think just maybe it was updated in anticipation of her being announced. And of course, Watt series and other people in the fandom got a hold of it, and then it kind of made the rounds like wildfire. And I did a full video on her and her character, Sheriam Banar, the Mistress of the Novices, not too long ago. So I won't get into a bunch of detail about her, because I just did this not too long ago in a video, but I've left a link to that video down below in the description box. But Rima is an absolutely fantastic actress. She was born in 1963, and she's been acting for 1986, and she has an absolutely staggering amount of credits under her belt. And she's probably best known, at least in my mind, for Full Frontal. Now, Full Frontal is a serialized sketch comedy type show, and it's absolutely fantastic. I can't say enough good things about it. She's wonderful in it. A lot of really big names in Hollywood got their start on Full Frontal. And if you don't know what that is, I'm going to say for people from Canada that are watching, think Kids in the Hall. People from the States think Mad TV or SNL is a sketch comedy show. Really, really very good. She's playing Sheriam Sadai. Now, this is a Blue Sister who's a Mistress of the Novices in the books. She factors very, very heavily in Egwene's storylines, The Great Hunt and beyond. So essentially, she's a pretty important character for a bunch of different reasons. I didn't give spoilers beyond book 3, so I'm not going to talk about what those reasons are, but I can't wait to see her play both sides of this particular character on screen, because she is absolutely fantastic. And although Sheriam isn't one of my favorite characters, she is definitely top 10. She's up there, and I can't wait to see what Rima does with her. All right, so now we're going to talk about 2 actresses whose characters are going to be pretty intertwined in the show, and probably not seen on screen without one another very often. The first one is Raga. Now, Raga, if you don't know who she is, she's been acting since 2018, and she's best known for a very long stint, over 20 episodes on Vikings, and she's absolutely fantastic in that show. If you haven't seen it, go check her out. I think she's going to be absolutely perfect for this character, and she's going to be playing Bain. Now, if you don't know who she is first sisters with Chiad, who we're going to talk about here in just a second. She meets Egwene, Elvira, Elaine Tricand, and Nynaeve Almira when they're on their way to Tyr. She leads them to someone who's been injured. After that person is healed, she reveals that they're searching for he who comes with the dawn, and she's one of the Aiel present when the stone of Tyr falls. So she's kind of intertwined with Egwene and them for a little bit, and then she attaches herself to Fael because she becomes very good friends with Fael in the series, and her and Chiad follow her to the Two Rivers for the events of the Battle of Two Rivers. Really, really fantastic characters. Now, what's funny about this is we've known that Raga has been involved in the show for a very long time. We're talking well over a year at this point. However, the character that the entire fandom, including myself, thought she was playing was Brigida. Now, if you don't know who that is, she's a hero of the Horn, and that's mainly because she was seen on set during the filming of the Battle of Falma, not in costume, of course, just in her regular clothes. She happened to have her hair up in a ponytail at the time, it was around the same time that a lot of the costumes for the Heroes of the Horn that are going to be featured in Falma were leaked, and we featured them here on the channel. So everyone kind of put two and two together with her role in Vikings, the type of character she was good at playing, and who we thought she would be a good cast as. And it was all Brigida, the Hero of the Horn, the Archer. And we're all completely wrong. Although I think she's going to be an absolutely fantastic Bain, and I can't wait to see her on screen. Now, this goes right along with Maha Simonson. She plays Chiad. Now, Maha is been acting since 2018. She's probably best known for a short stint on Treadstone, and she did an episode of Emily in Paris as well. Actually, I'm a big fan of Emily in Paris. I really like the show, and I recognized her from that show. I had to go back and look, but I did recognize her from that show when I found out she was cast as Chiad. Now, Chiad is the same. She is a Maiden of the Spear. She is first introduced in the exact same way as Raga's character, and then she does follow Fail to the Battle of the Two Rivers. So she is one of the few maidens that's featured front and center throughout the entire series. So I think getting Bain and Chiad as a reveal now, where we know they're going to be featured characters in the show, it just makes everyone really happy. We know they're not going to amalgamate the two of them together. We know that they're going to showcase the intricacies of being first sisters on screen. I really hope they're also going to showcase some of the intricacies of there's a little love triangle going on there, but I won't get into too much with it because I didn't get spoilers for book 4 and beyond. But he's the gentleman involved is also another fan favorite character. He's Nae'blis as well. Really interesting to see. I can't wait to see how they do that dynamic on the screen. All right, so before we get into the Q&A, I do have to mention this. Now, during the introduction of Eula Smart as Avienda, Maha Simonson as Chiad, and Raga Ragnarsson as Bain, they did use Maiden Hand Talk. Now, for those of you who've only seen the show, you probably don't know what this is. Don't worry. I am going to do a bunch more explain videos before Season 2 comes out. One of them is going to be on the Aiel, all the warrior societies, all the things you need to know because it'll be helpful when the show comes out. However, what I can tell you for right now is the Maidens of the Spear, which these 3 characters are part of, also have an unspoken language called Maiden Hand Talk. It's where they're able to converse with each other using hand gestures and movements in a way to impact thoughts, ideas, and whatnot without actually using their voice, so they can keep concealed or keep their thoughts from other people. It's featured pretty heavily in the book series. In fact, at some point or another, Randall Thor tries to learn some of it so he can understand what's going on around him. But really, really very neat. Now, there was an article a long time ago. We're talking just after the end of Season 1. They talked about a dialect coach on set who's helping to formulate a brand new language. So they didn't use ASL. What they did use is they took a bunch of different gestures and they made them into their own language and used that as Maiden Hand Talk on screen, which I think is absolutely fantastic and really cool. And I could just imagine the room at JordanCon when they started using Maiden Hand Talk as they're introducing themselves. I imagine it erupted and everyone was cheering and shouting. Maybe that's not what happened, but in my mind, that's what happened because I was really very excited to see the first instance of this on screen. And I can't wait to start deciphering all of the words and kind of like get our own little primer as a Maiden Hand Talk language so we can watch the show and see what they're saying. I'm very, very excited about that. All right, now we're going to get into some of the Q&A portions. I'm going to read off the questions that was asked to the cast and the crew and the production team and then give you their answers that they gave as well. And we'll talk just a bit about them as we go through. This is pretty interesting because in some cases they gave away some tidbits that I think would be important for Season 2 and Season 3. We'll talk about those as we go through. In other cases, it's just fun to hear their answers. So the very first question was asked is, which character do you most look forward to being introduced in later seasons? Now, Rafe and Sarah answered this question. Now, Sarah said she didn't really give a character, but she gave landmarks. So if you follow Sarah on social media, you probably know that she's a book expert. So she is the person that knows everything and anything there is to know with the books and advises the production team, the crew, and the cast on any number of book-related stuff. They cut or change this. How is it going to affect future seasons? what does this particular dagger look like? What does this particular character's hairstyle look like? She does all of that. So she answers anything and everything to do with the books. So for her, when she said about this, it wasn't really a character, it was about landmarks. Now, on social media, she's talked about it a few times before. This is an adaptation. So season 1 was an adaptation. Season 2 and beyond are also an adaptation of the Wheel of Time books. It's not a shot-for-shot recreation. But she did say that she really enjoys the landmarks. So come across certain things during the seasons that are going to pique the reader's interest. So the book readers are going to go, I know what that is. So when she says landmarks, I think Easter eggs, things, either they be plot lines, characters, items, things of that nature that aren't going to be featured heavily in the show, but we see them and go, aha, I know exactly what that is. So Rafe answered this one as Elida. Now, Elida is one of his most favorite characters. He thinks she's incredibly interesting, which goes to show that we believe that she's probably not going to be merged or changed in any way, shape, or form in the show. She'll probably just stay pretty much the same, which is really exciting because I can't wait to see what she's like on screen, because she's as evil as old Get Out without being a dark friend. So very, very neat. All right, so the next one is exploring the Aiel culture in the show. What are some of the elements that you took from the books to explore the Aiel culture? Now, Rafe answered this one. He said everything. He said they took everything about the Aiel from the books and crammed it into the show. Everything from Ji'ito to Guy Shane to pretty much anything and everything there is to know about the warrior societies made in Hancock. They didn't miss much out on the Aiel, which is pretty interesting, and I can't wait to see the Aiel depicted on screen. It's going to be very fantastic. Next question is, what are the difference between Sayedar and Sayedin in Season 2? Will they be showcased, so to speak? Now, one of the big problems that people had with Season 1, and when I say people, I mean a portion of the fandom, was that they believed that the One Power wasn't split into two, that it was just one source of power that men and women could both see and access and do, and that mainly had to do with a couple of different scenes in the first season, one of them with Logain's capture and gentling. It appeared to be that he saw Nynaeve heal the people in the cave. They had to come up later on, and they basically said that he was reacting to the effects of the power, so the blowback, the wind, the rocks, the feeling of it, but not that he had seen it, and it just wasn't shown as sort of a division between the two different types of power in the first season. And to be completely 100% fair, in the Eye of the World, it wasn't shown that way either. Not really. I mean, very broad strokes in One Power in the Eye of the World, very broad strokes in how things were explained. And then you have your unreliable narrators as well who think they know certain things in the book series, and that kind of factored over to the screen. But Sarah Nakamura did answer this one, and she said yes. She goes, fans of the books will like how the power is handled and how it looks in Season 2, and she's very excited for us to see this. So I'm pretty excited about that myself personally, because in the first season of the show, the power looked pretty much the same except for the taint. You get to see the taint, which they called corruption, a little bit on the male half of the true source, but I think we're going to see something just a bit different for Season 2. From what I'm hearing from the VFX people, is even half true. I think we're going to be completely blown away. All right, so the next question was, what were the main inspirations when adapting the Shan-Chan on screen, and are they going to have a Texan accent? So, for those of you who haven't read the books, they're talked about in the books as having sort of a drawl, and Robert Jordan, in one of his interviews, did say that if they were to have an accent, it'd be a Texan accent, and a fair bit of their culture was actually modeled upon old Texan culture, which is very interesting. There's a whole bunch of articles out there about that. It's really, really neat. But Rafe Judkins did mention that what they did and what they had to do is they tried to take a culture that is completely apart from everything else in the world, but still fits in the world. And no, they're not going to have a Texan accent, but there will be a very strong nod to it in the show. So there's going to be an Easter egg at some point where they're going to mention something Texan in reference to the Shan-Chan, which I think is going to be very neat for those of us fans who really know where that came from. I think that's going to be awesome. So the next question was, what type of Trolloc was your favorite? Daniel Henney answered this one. He said all of them. Then he went on to talk about how absolutely amazing the VFX teams were and whatnot, but then he kind of settled on the bird Trollocs with the feathers and whatnot are his absolute favorite aesthetic of Trolloc. And then Aiel Smart came across with the absolute perfect line for an Aiel, a dead one. Absolutely fantastic. Next question was, what scene looked effortless and easy in the final cuts but took multiple takes or needed longer than expected to film? Kate Fleetwood talked about a scene where she filmed in Season 2 that the whole scene took about 45 minutes to film when they finally got to it, but it was scheduled in September, then rescheduled for October, then rescheduled for January, then for March, and by that time they'd moved locations and lost the location, so they had to rebuild the entire set and then didn't film it until April. So the scene itself wasn't hard, it just took a long time to get there, which I guess is par for the course when you're filming, and have to be very flexible with timings and whatnot. Priyanka Bose said any of the action scenes, because that doesn't come naturally to her, so to speak. In addition to that, Rafe did say that the stunt team is absolutely amazing when it comes to the action scenes, and they have a sword master on hand, and their stunt teams and basically their sword master and fighting master teach different fighting styles, not only for different cultures and different types of people in the show, but also for individuals. So you will see individuals in the show with different fighting styles from other individuals of the same culture or area, because everybody fights just a little bit different. And he did say something interesting here, which I think we're gonna have to expand upon in another video, but he said, and he emphasized this, you will see this with each of her IEL characters, and he emphasized the word characters for some reason in season 2. I'm not sure why he emphasized that, but it's worth looking into, and I think I'm gonna try to figure out what he meant by that. All right, so now they get on to, if you weren't playing the character you're playing now, which character do you think you would be most fun to play? Now, Kate Fleetwood said basically any Aiel because they're cool as hell. Raga Ragnars thinks that Loyal would be really cool to play because he looks cool, he sounds cool, and he just is cool. Eula said either Lan or Moraine, which is really very interesting. Taylor Napier said Leandrin because he likes being snarky, or Lan, which I think is really very neat. Then it was, what rituals do you have to get yourself into character? Daniel Henney, Eula, and Raga all mentioned they meditate for 10 or 15 minutes prior to getting into character. Kate Fleetwood said she basically just is completely over-prepared. She makes sure she knows her lines cold. That way she can play around the other actors in each of the scenes. Jennifer Chian Garcia says music. She listens to music on set. She has her headset in at all times, and it really helps her get into character. And then Raga said, in addition to meditation, she also likes putting on the costume because that really gets her set in the mindset of her character for her Aiel Bain. Now, the favorite scene they've been into to date. Now, this was very interesting because a lot of them wanted to mention things from season 2 and beyond, and they can't. So Kate Fleetwood said the tower scenes in season 1, and she cannot talk about season 2. So any of the scenes she had in the tower in season 1, those were her favorite scenes with all of the women on screen at once. And Taylor Napier said the campfire scene with all of the warders and Nynaeve Almira in season 1 was his absolute favorite, which I'm going to admit that's one of my favorite scenes of season 1 as well. It's really, really nice. All right, so now they went into, do they have a favorite costume? Daniel Henney answered this one saying he liked Loyal's costume the best. Noah Hammond, combined with the costume and his voice and his charisma, just absolutely knocks it out of the park. I totally agree with him. I love Loyal in season 1. Priyanka Bose says all of her costumes in season 1 were amazing. And in season 2, they're even better. And in season 3, they're even better than season 2. So she loves them all. Jennifer Chian Garcia said the Amberlin from season 1, but her absolute favorite costume is one of her costumes from season 2, which is kind of interesting. She can't talk about it because it may give some things away, she said. Now, we know the storyline of the books, but we're not entirely sure where the Keeper is going to be in season 2 just now because they've changed a few things, so I'm kind of interested what costume is her favorite for season 2. She said she would post it on social media once she has it, though. And then Taylor Napier has said that Padan Fain from season 1 is his favorite costume, and I agree. Padan Fain's costume is absolutely fantastic, very intricate all the way through the series, especially when you see him in the background in most episodes. Really, really very cool. And Sarah Nakamura, of course, went with the very first iconic reveal of Moraine. And she was very vocal about that on social media when it first came out, that she really, really enjoyed Moraine's costume. And I agree. I don't think there's a single bad costume, in my opinion, in the first season. And from what all I've seen from season 2, behind the scenes and leaked stuff, I haven't seen anything bad from that either. So I'm pretty excited. The show itself, in my opinion, is incredibly beautiful on screen. What is a trait that you and your character have in common? Well, Daniel Henney says he wants to have all of them in common with Lan, but he doesn't think he does. And then he went on to say that Lan's a very physical character, and he'd like to think that he is also very physical. Raga said that her character is very tall, and so is she, and also very strong. Maha said that her character is that she needs Raga all the time, which is, goes right in with Chiad. Chiad and Bain are inseparable at the hip, and I think Raga and Maha are also inseparable at the hip on on the set, which is really very cool. Taylor Napier said that the writers sometimes take your flaws and build them into your character, and Maxim is quite vain. So I think he's calling himself a little vain in this one here, which is kind of funny. And then Jennifer Chian Garcia said they have a lot in common. They've gone through a lot in their lives, and they want to fight for the good, and they have a lot of loyalty, which I think speaks to more of her character in season 2 and beyond, because we didn't really get to see her very much on the screen in season 1. But that is certainly true of Liana in the books, 100%. They're asked if they take any one prop from filming, what would be your choice? All of the Aiel said they're spears, and I agree. They're totally cool. I'd love to have a spear up here on the back shelf on the mantle. So if any of you are watching from the Wheel of Time, send me one of the props, please. I would love one. Priyanka Bose said that she'd like Alana's powers. She considers them a prop for her character, so she'd like to take them into real life to use, which, of course, why would anyone not want to channel the one power in real life? Of course. And Jennifer Chiang Garcia said the serpent rings. She would really love to see one of those. Now, little does she know, or maybe she does know, that a few of them are given out along with the premiere of season 1, and we got to see those. A couple of very lucky fans around the world got cabinets with some really cool stuff in it and got shared on social media, which I thought was neat. I featured it here on the channel. So I'm sure she already has a ring at home. Who do you feel is most like their character? Now, this one's kind of funny because Priyanka Bose said that she is, and then Taylor Napier said that Priyanka Bose is. which is kind of interesting. If you don't know who Alana's character is, she's very you'll have to watch the show, and Priyanka apparently is quite like her, so that's very cool. And then the very last question was Rafe, which cast or crew member would win Survivor? And he said that's a super easy question. Martin from Props already won Survivor once, so he would win. Very, very easy question for him. Now, that's it. That's all of the Q&A. That's all of the castings, all the stuff that was released at JordanCon. For all of my viewers out there that went to JordanCon, I hope you had a wonderful time. I want to see pictures. I want to see video. I want to do a JordanCon compilation video at some point. So if you have that sort of things, send it to me on social media or tag me in it and give me permission to share it here. I'd like to show the rest of the world what JordanCon is like, and I kind of want to live vicariously through you as well. Really very neat. I hope to make it 1 year. It looks like a whole lot of fun. And for the rest of you out there, thank you so very much for sticking with us here to the very end. And here's to many more.